Hey guys, what's going on? Kyle Krieger here. Thank you so much for tuning in this video today. First off, thank you to everyone who has been coming forward and expressing and talking about and sharing their stories about sexual harassment and abuse and rape. These topics and these experiences are not easy to talk about, and to come forward and to share is a very brave thing to do, and it has inspired me to also do so. I have been raped twice, and I also have experienced sexual harassment, and I was always too scared and too afraid to say stuff publicly because I was just scared no one was gonna care, or no one was gonna believe me, or people were gonna say like, maybe you should just push it under the rug, maybe you should toughen up, forget about it. It was nothing, like, downplay and push aside my thoughts and feelings about this. It took me a lot of therapy to get to the point where I could express and talk about. It's still hard, but like, I'm getting there, and it's important to talk about these things. To all my subscribers and to the people watching this video, you may have realized that in the news there has been a lot of people coming forward recently about sexual harassment allegations from other public figures. The Me Too hashtag, Anthony Rapp coming forward about Kevin Spacey, all of the women who came forward about Harvey Weinstein, and the politicians that people are coming forward about, other directors in Hollywood. It's a very brave, big thing to do. To use your power to get sexual favors from other people, to get anything from them, is a disgusting abuse of power. When I was 23, I was out getting a pizza, and I was on Lincoln Road in Miami, and I vividly remember I was at Pizza Rustica, and I was walking back 2 blocks to my apartment. So suddenly I started feeling this intense pain in my back, and it was excruciating, and I collapsed to the floor. I honestly, I didn't know what was going on, but I could not move my back. So I basically crawled back to my apartment. I drew a warm bath. I still couldn't move. I didn't know what was going on. And we were trying to just like ease my pain. I was taking Tylenol, and nothing was working. So I called my parents, who also lived in Miami, and they came to get me. And they were like, we're gonna go to the hospital. So my parents drove me to Mount Sinai Hospital in Miami, and I went into the ER, or to the hospital, I forget, and I was in a bed in a room, and I think I had a CAT scan. That's how they found out that it was kidney stones in my back that were on the move, because it was in the CAT scan room where the sexual abuse happened, where the rape happened. So while I was in the CAT scan room, before I went into the CAT scan, I was laying on a stretcher, what felt like a stretcher or a bed, and that moved, and I was really doped up and a little bit confused and a little bit drowsy and weary, and I didn't really know what was happening, I think because of the meds that I was on. There was a nurse there, his name was Jeremy, and he used to come to my nightclub. Jeremy was my nurse. What I did notice is that Jeremy, the nurse, had started to put his hands on my legs and run his hands up my legs, and my gown started to get pushed back. And before I knew it, he was giving me oral sex. He was gripping me and roping me, and it was bad. So I never got aroused. It was very confusing. And I felt like I couldn't do anything. I felt like I was so out of it that I couldn't tell him no or push him off of me, or I just didn't know what to do. And I just wanted it to stop. I left the hospital. I never told anyone. I didn't tell anyone for 4 or 5 years. I never told my parents, I never told anybody. And Jeremy, that same nurse, used to come to my nightclub even after it happened, and he would come to my bar and order drinks for me, and I would just look at him and be like, you're like a disgusting human being. But I never said a word to him because I was just so embarrassed, and I had so much shame about what had happened. And it wasn't till therapy 6 or 7 years later, talking about my intimacy issues with my therapist about, you know, my fears of having sex and my fears of dating gay men and my fears of getting into a relationship and wanting anyone to get close to me. And we traced it back to this specific experience, and also intercourse that I had with someone that was when I was 18, which is also unwanted intercourse when I was passed out drunk, which was anal intercourse. And between these two rapes, I had just developed a really tough time getting close to gay men. So it even feels weird talking about this experience now, because I feel like embarrassed and I feel ashamed and I feel like, you know, it's my fault, or I could have done something different, or why was I drunk and passed out, or why was I medicated, you know, why did I have to get these kidney stones? Like, I also never thought anyone would listen or care to listen or even believe me, or even thought it was important to talk about. Because of these people coming forward, I finally was like, you know what, I need to talk about this too. So I want to talk about a few ways that we can help you get through this experience. So first off, let's talk about what sexual harassment is. In the most basic definition I could find, it is this: sexual harassment is a form of sex discrimination that violates Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Very generally, sexual harassment describes unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, or other verbal or physical conduct of sexual nature. If this is happening at work, consult your employee handbook. Talk to an HR director, talk to a supervisor, let them know that this behavior is going on and that you want it to stop, right? And make sure also keep receipts. If people are texting you or emailing you, take screenshots. Have stuff to show your HR director and your supervisor about what is happening. I get the sense that people who like to sexually harass other people do it in private, and you may be afraid that if there's no one else around, that if no one else sees it, that no one will believe you. Well, that's false. Also, seek support from your friends or family. Potentially you could get help from a therapist as well, like I did. If you don't know where to find a therapist, the easiest way that I found someone was through a recommendation through a friend. If you feel like none of your friends are in therapy or have good recommendations, you can call your insurance company if you have insurance, and they can give you a list of therapists that are covered under your insurance. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. And I also want to say thank you, and I'm very grateful for everyone who came forward about experiencing sexual harassment. It is inspiring and brave, and you are saving people by doing so. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you guys on here next week. Bye.